Hello, buddy. Welcome back to the Tin Man's Quarter channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and today I'm reading another chapter out of my They Saw Sasquatch, Close Encounters of Bigfoot book by Gary and Wendy Swanson. The encounter that I'm reading is taking place on the Jin Lin Trail. Month and year that this was occurring is March of 2014. So here we go. The kids were ahead of us on the trail with instructions to keep us in sight. We had hiked this area many times before, as it is an excellent way to relax without worry over unsavory individuals or wild, dangerous animals. The Jinlin area is well traveled but well liked in the early spring. Our kids are 10 and 8 years of age, so we feel comfortable in letting them lead since the trail wraps up and around. Coming out at the parking lot. If you guys can see that, there's a picture of the trail info. Last March, we hit a fairly warm Sunday and decided to begin our hiking season early, so we could beat the tourists and maybe see signs of some wild creatures before they all went into the higher mountains for summer. At one point, about halfway around the loop, the kids suddenly disappeared from our sight. When we caught up to where we last saw them, we saw fresh tracks in the muddy loam heading away from the trail, leading alongside the remnants of an old ditch that was dug to channel water from the higher slopes to feed the huge hydraulic mining operation. There are still the remains of the old control gates where the miners regulated the water flow. There, way up the slope on the edge of the ditch, we could see our two adventurers, their bright coats moving quickly along the path following the ditch. Not wanting them to fall into a hole or abandoned mine, I blew my dog Kid whistle. They both turned, but instead of coming back, they were waving excitedly for us to join them. We quickly caught up, wanted to see what was so interesting. When we stopped catching our breath, the kids were all excited and whispering that they had seen a monkey. Seen a monkey in a old mining area? Oh, no, that ain't no monkey. That's probably, you guessed it, Bigfoot. They pointed to a woodsy patch beyond a couple of large felled trees where the forest was thick and jumping up and down. They both gasped out, "It ran through that hole." We began to carefully climb up the slope where the kids said this animal went, and in one flat area alongside a giant root ball, we all saw very distinct footprints about as big as my wife's size 6 shoe. The thing that was different was that there were no sole or heel marks, just a depression that looked like a bare foot, but the heels were much wider than humans would make. As we got further up the hill, the trees and brush became thicker, and suddenly we heard what sounded like a loud, raspy cough. Then the sound of rocks falling downhill, and after that, just a couple of sounds of falling rocks from deeper into the dark valley. I think it's probably the time to turn around and keep going on with the trail and not look back. Well, we turned back, but both kids stuck to their story that they saw a long-haired monkey, but their friends laughed them into silence when they retold their story. When we got home, my wife and I do believe them, and we did see the prints and heard the noises, so we can't deny the possibility. The way the kids described it, I would say it would have been about 4 to 5 feet tall, fairly long arms, and covered with long, dark, orange-brown hair. Neil Sampson, Jacksonville, Oregon. Yeah, I think you should have told your kids to not say nothing to your friends over at school, because they would be ridiculed. So they said it was 4 to 5 feet tall. It was probably a juvenile, Bigfoot. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more book reading content like this. This has been another successful installment of the Tin Man's Quarter channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor. I say that's a wrap, and have a nice day, y'all.